Hi everyone, it's Library Linda, and I'd like to welcome you to this week's edition of Did You Know? Did you know that May 10th of 1869 was the day the Golden Spike was driven that connected the Central Pacific Railroad with the Union Pacific Railroad? In Promontory Point, Utah, Leland Stanford, who was president of the Central Pacific, hammered in the spike and then promptly had it removed for preservation. This connected the railway system from Omaha, Nebraska to Sacramento, California. Did you know, on May 10th of 1872, Victoria Woodhall became the first woman ever nominated to become president of the United States? Victoria and her sister made enough money with the brokerage firm that they owned to start up a newspaper. Working for her newspaper, she became an advocate for women's suffrage and embraced when she was selected as the nominee for the Equal Rights Party. Almost 50 years before women had the right to vote, Victoria and her running mate, Frederick Douglass, didn't stand a chance against the incumbent, Ulysses S. Grant. Did you know that May 11th of 1811 was the birthday of Chang and Ang Bunker? They were the original Siamese twins, a politically incorrect term for the conjoined twins that were born in Miklos, Siam, now Thailand. They came to the United States with a Scottish merchant named Robert Hunter. They traveled all around the United States, and people paid to see these two twins. Then they traveled all around the British Isles before coming back to the United States and traveling with P.T. Barnum. The twins became very wealthy before settling in North Carolina, where they married sisters Sarah and Adelaide Yates. Between them, they had 21 children. Did you know, on May 11th of 1934, a massive dust storm sent 350 million tons of topsoil across the Great Plains? As more settlers moved into the plains area, their livestock and their crops disrupted the natural grasses that kept the soil from blowing away. In the 1920s, wheat production increased 300%. This caused even more land to be plowed up. In the early 1930s, a drought spread across the plains, causing crops to fail and increased dust storms in size, intensity, and frequency. On May 11th, a 2-day storm started that was so great in size and intensity that it sent dust to Atlanta, Boston, and New York. This storm was so bad that some people referred to it as the Black Blizzard. Did you know that May 12th was National Limerick Day? Limericks became popular after Edward Lear published his book called A Book of Nonsense in 1846. Lear says it's the only fixed verse that's indigenous to the English language. And one of his more popular limericks goes like this. There was an old man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all built their nest in my beard." Did you know that Sunday, May 13th of 1907 was the first time Mother's Day was observed? Anna Jarvis went to her minister and asked if he would do a special service in memory of her mother. He recommended that they do a service in honor of all mothers. 2 years later, Anna and her friends started a letter-writing campaign to Congress asking for a nationwide observance of Mother's Day. And in 1914, it passed, and every second Sunday in May is now Mother's Day. Did you know, on May 14th of 1853, Gail Borden applied for a patent for condensed milk? Gail became interested in ways to preserve food for longer periods of time without refrigeration. He found that if he sweetened milk and then condensed it using a vacuum, that it would keep for long periods of time. He received both U.S. and British patents for evaporated and condensed milk. With the onset of the Civil War, Gail Borden received an order from the War Department for 500 pounds of sweetened milk. As the Union Army grew, so did demand, because all of the Union Army troops received sweetened condensed milk as part of their rations. After the Civil War, the soldiers went home and told their families how good this sweetened canned milk was, and it became a very popular item to keep in your pantries. And today, it is still a staple in most people's pantry. I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Did You Know? And I hope I see you again next week. Bye-bye.